At my daughter's wedding, I was stunned to find a photo of myself hanging at the entrance with the words "No entry." It felt like a cruel punch from the one person I'd loved above all else. Instead of stepping into what should have been one of the happiest days of our lives, I turned around and walked away, leaving behind my hope for a united family. But just 3 hours later, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing, 73 missed calls. What felt like betrayal had clearly spiraled into something much bigger. Before we dive into what happened next, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments what time it is where you're watching from. The cold, bluish glow of my phone cut through the warm lighting of my reading lamp. The sudden vibration against my armrest shattered the quiet comfort I'd built around my evening. As I set my newspaper down and reached for the phone, I adjusted my glasses just in time to see Eva's smiling face light up the screen. "Dad," she beamed, "I have some amazing news. I'm engaged." My coffee cup paused midair. Behind her, a luxurious apartment peeked through the video feed. Sleek countertops, floor-to-ceiling windows, the unmistakable glimmer of San Francisco in the background. "That's wow," I began, but she quickly held her hand up to the camera. A diamond ring caught the light and scattered colors across her cheeks. "Look at this ring, Dad. Isn't it stunning?" Before I could get a proper word in, a man appeared next to her. Tall, confident, with a jaw that looked sculpted for advertisements. "Mr. Rice," he said, offering a smooth smile. "I'm Harold Kensington. I swear I'll make your daughter the happiest woman alive." Eva jumped in before I could answer. "Harold works in crypto investing. He's got big plans, Dad. Blockchain, NFTs, green tech. He's super smart." Harold interjected with ease. "Markets are unstable right now, but I've got investments across several sectors, from renewables to traditional stocks. All balanced." Something about his tone felt rehearsed. His watch caught the light in a way that seemed too deliberate. His fingers never stopped moving, a pinky ring twisted over and over, as if it calmed him. "When's the big day?" I asked. "March 15th, Eva practically shouted. "It's sudden, but Harold found a spot at the Fairmont last-minute cancellation. It's perfect." I forced a smile. "That's pretty fast." Harold's smile tightened. "When you know, sir." All the while, he kept one hand on Eva's shoulder, his thumb moving in slow circles. It looked more like control than comfort. "He's handled every little detail," Eva gushed. "I don't even need to stress. That should have reassured me." Instead, it made me uneasy. Harold was managing everything. He was charming, but his charm had sharp edges. His clothes looked expensive but oddly pristine, as if bought for show. I said goodbye and hung up. Alone in my chair, I stared at the now dark phone screen, a mirror for my unease. Something wasn't right. I couldn't say exactly what, but the feeling settled deep. Nearly 2 weeks passed. Sleep came in fragments. Then Harold called, asking for a private talk, man to man. Curiosity and concern made me agree. We met at a posh cafe on Manhattan's Upper East Side, all marble and hushed elegance. He looked polished, but sweat clung to his palms when we shook hands. "Thanks for meeting me, Mr. Rice," he said, gesturing for me to sit. "May I be honest with you?" "Go ahead." He leaned closer. "My assets are temporarily frozen, nothing major, just regulatory reviews on one of my crypto funds. It'll be cleared in a few months." I said nothing, but the wedding, he hesitated, sighing like someone rehearsing humility. "Eva's dream venue wants full payment up front. I don't want to let her down. How much are we talking?" I asked 50,000. I'll repay it before the year ends with interest. He slid a set of documents across the table. Proof of my holdings over $2 million. Just not liquid right now. The paperwork looked convincing: stamps, legal jargon, portfolio breakdowns. Still, he produced them too easily, too theatrically. I love your daughter, he added softly. This would mean the world to her. He was persuasive. A bit too persuasive. I hesitated but eventually agreed. Fine, but Eva must never know. Absolutely. She'd be heartbroken if she thought I couldn't afford her dream. I wrote the check slowly. Harold's eyes never left my pen. As I handed it over, he snatched it like a lifeline, tucking it into his wallet with care. You won't regret this. He left soon after, saying he had calls to make. I stayed, alone with a cold coffee and a heavier heart. Days dragged on. My Brooklyn apartment felt like a mausoleum for doubt. I barely ate, barely slept. My late wife Margaret's photo stared at me from the nightstand, and I remembered her voice. Truth is more important than comfort. She'd have seen through Harold in a heartbeat. She never trusted charm alone. When Eva was 16 and wanted to date a kid with a motorcycle, Margaret ran a background check worthy of Homeland Security. But Margaret was gone, and I'd made a $50,000 decision I couldn't explain or undo. The phone buzzed. Eva? Hey Dad, just came back from the florist. How's everything going? Fantastic. Harold's amazing. He's handling everything: the band, photographer, hotel. I don't have to lift a finger. Each word she said felt like a stone in my chest. Harold was controlling every inch of her wedding, using my money. Eva, I began, my voice tight. Are you sure you know Harold well enough? Of course. Why? Her tone changed, defensive. I heard rustling, probably wedding magazines or flower arrangements. It's just you've only known him 6 months. When it's real, time doesn't matter, she said, laughing. But there was a catch in her voice, something unsure, something off. You always taught me to follow my instincts, remember? Eva's voice was confident. And mine are telling me Harold is the one. He's perfect for me. That word, perfect, echoed in my head like a warning siren. Nothing in life is ever perfect, least of all people who insist they are. I'm sure you're right, sweetheart, I replied, trying to mask my concern. I can't wait to share a dance with you on your big day. After our call ended, I remained at the kitchen table, staring at the worn leather-bound journal Margaret gave me long ago. Most of its pages were untouched. I never got into the habit of journaling, but tonight I felt the need to write. February 9, 2025. Gave Harold $50,000 for wedding expenses. Eva doesn't know. Something feels off. But I made a promise. Margaret would probably call me a fool. She'd say a good father protects his daughter, even from her own choices. But maybe part of being a good father also means trusting her, even when it terrifies you. I closed the journal and slid it back into the drawer. Outside, Brooklyn moved with its usual rhythm, people strolling home, grabbing late dinners, laughing at something they'd soon forget. For the first time in a long while, I envied their simplicity. The wedding was just over a month away. 5 weeks for Harold to prove me wrong, or for me to discover just how blind I'd been. I turned out the light, took Margaret's photo with me, and went to bed. If I had made a mistake, at least I wasn't facing it alone. 3 days later, I was standing outside Le Bernardin, a temple of fine French dining in San Francisco, watching through towering windows as Eva and Harold laughed over their glasses of champagne. I'd flown in that morning from JFK, and though my body was heavy with jet lag, I had forced myself into my best navy suit, suddenly inadequate under the glow of chandelier light and linen. Covered tables, Dad, Eva called out, radiant in a flowing green dress that looked like it belonged on a fashion runway. Her diamond ring sparkled wildly as she hugged me. She smelled like joy and money. Harold rose from the table with all the grace of a panther. His charcoal suit fit too well, his movements calculated. "Mr. Rice," he said, extending a hand. The grip was overly firm. "So glad you could make it." He gestured to my chair and somehow arranged himself so he had the best view of the room. "I've already taken the liberty of ordering a Montrachet. Pairs excellently with their seafood," he added, waving the sommelier over before I could say a word. He launched into wine terminology so fast, I felt like a tourist at my own family's table. "The menu rotates with the seasons," he said, not even offering me the menu. "But I'd recommend the John Dory, unless you're more traditional." That last word came laced with condescension. "Dad's not afraid to try new things." Eva jumped in, reaching for my hand. "Remember when you tried sushi in Chinatown?" Harold chuckled, eyes glinting. "Do you still balance a checkbook, Mr. Rice? Very authentic." I clenched my jaw. "Sometimes the old ways work just fine." "Of course," he said smoothly, though clearly amused. "It must be tricky managing finances without modern tools. But I suppose you remember when Bitcoin was pocket change." Harold, Eva tried to diffuse the moment. Right, not everyone adapts quickly," he said, smirking. "Should we go over the basics of crypto, sweetheart, or is that too much for your dad this late in the day?" Eva giggled. Giggled like I was a relic from another age instead of the man who raised her. Dinner arrived. As Harold dissected scallops and monologued about market volatility, he occasionally tossed me a line, "You'll like this, Mr. Rice," before diving back into jargon meant to shut me out. "You're so brilliant," Eva said, gazing at him like he'd invented gravity. "Dad, you're lucky. Harold's going to be an incredible husband." When the check came, Harold whipped out a sleek black Amex with a flourish and stopped my hand as I reached for my wallet. "Please, Mr. Rice," he said with mock generosity, "let me, I can certainly afford it." I said nothing. Outside, I watched him help Eva into his sleek Tesla. He kissed her forehead gently, smiling like a man who had just won. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I tossed in the stiff hotel bed until nearly midnight before dragging myself to the desk. The Wi-Fi code was stuck to the lamp. I opened my laptop and stared at the search bar. Harold Kensington. The results were neat and polished. LinkedIn profiles, tech interviews, a curated online presence. It all fit too perfectly, too clean. I refined the search. Harold Kensington plus San Francisco. Page 3 yielded a business listing. Kensington Digital Ventures, registered just 6 months ago. The listed address, a UPS mailbox. A chill ran down my spine. I typed, Harold Kensington fraud, and then everything changed. The screen filled with court documents from Los Angeles Superior Court. Case No. CV 20,247,891. Harold James Kensington, accused of identity theft, misappropriation of funds, and investment fraud. My mouth went dry as I opened the files. The plaintiff, Rebecca Martinez, 31. She had given him $180,000 for fake crypto investments. Her photo, trusting smile, warm eyes, looked disturbingly like Eva. I searched further. Victims, Sarah Chen, $95,000. Jennifer Walsh, $240,000. each with the same story: whirlwind romance, 6-month courtship, engagement, promises of wealth, financial ruin. I found photos: Harold with Rebecca at an engagement party, Harold with Sarah dining by candlelight, Harold with Jennifer, her hand displaying a diamond ring identical to Eva's. I printed everything. By morning, the hotel's business center was a war zone of paper, court records, victim statements, news clippings. Harold's alternate aliases: Kensington, Morrison, Richards. His entire criminal pattern laid bare. He wasn't just a fraud. He was a professional predator. The final document was a psychological profile from the FBI. Narcissistic traits, sociopathic tendencies, skilled at exploiting emotional connections, especially family, for financial gain. I checked the time: 6:47 a.m. Eva would be waking soon. Harold would probably still be in the shower. It was time to end this. Valentine's Day. The sunlight poured into my hotel room like a spotlight on a horror show. The desk was covered in damning proof: photos, legal filings, evidence of Harold's calculated destruction. I arranged it all like cards in a deadly deck. At exactly 7:15 a.m., I dialed Eva. "Morning, Dad," she chirped. "Wasn't last night incredible? Did you sleep okay?" Her joy broke my heart. "Eva, I need to tell you something. Please sit down. I'm just getting ready for work. What's going on? You sound weird." I stared at Rebecca's lawsuit, summoning the courage only a desperate father could. "Eva, Harold asked me for $50,000. He said he needed it for the wedding." Silence. "You told me he was a millionaire." I continued gently. More silence, longer this time. "Then, you're lying." Her voice cracked. "Harold would have told me. He told me his assets were frozen and needed help paying for the venue. He begged me not to say anything to you." "That can't be true," I said. "Harold shows me his financials all the time. He has over $2 million in investments. There's a fraud case against him," I said. "I have the paperwork. Los Angeles County Court. Case number CV 2024-7891. He scammed a woman named Rebecca Martinez." I could hear faint movement behind Eva, then Harold's voice asking what was wrong. Her breathing turned sharp and uneven. "You're lying. You just can't handle that I'm not your little girl anymore. You hate that I don't need you, Eva." I pleaded, "Just look at the documents. There are other victims: Sarah Chen, Jennifer Walsh. Same story, same manipulation." The phone switched hands. Harold's voice took over. Smooth, composed. "Mr. Rice, these claims are outrageous. I was cleared in that case. You're working off old information from bitter business contacts. Eva knows everything about my finances." But I wasn't convinced. In the background, I heard my daughter crying. "Your father doesn't want us to be happy," Harold said gently, lacing his voice with concern. "He can't let go. Let me talk to her," I demanded. "She's too upset. Your accusations have really harmed her." Then Eva came back on, trembling with pain. "How could you do this to me? Lie just to sabotage my happiness?" "I'm not lying. I have photos, him with other women, engagement rings just like yours." "Stop, you just can't accept that I found someone who truly loves me. I'm only asking you to see the truth before marrying him. I'm sending you everything now. Don't bother and don't come to the wedding." The call ended. The silence afterward felt heavier than any noise. Outside the hotel, couples walked hand toward Valentine's Day brunches, unaware that in room 412 a father-daughter bond had been shattered. The email I said I'd send, still unsent, my finger frozen above the keys. Harold had twisted my care into control, my love into perceived sabotage. But I wasn't ready to give up. 1 month later, March 14, a full month had crawled by since that Valentine's Day phone call. 31 days pacing my Brooklyn apartment like a man lost in his own past. The files, Harold's court records, photo evidence, bank data, sat untouched on my kitchen table, now warped from spilled coffee and sleepless nights. Each day began with me checking my phone, hoping for a message from Eva. None came. My letters of apology piled up on my desk, all starting with "Dear Eva," all ending crumpled in the trash. Even my neighbors noticed my decline. Mrs. Patterson said I looked gaunt. The mailman thought I'd gone on a trip. But today was different. Tomorrow, Eva would marry Harold. I sat with Margaret's photo, the love of my life, Eva's mother, asking silently what she would have done. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe I was wrong. By midday, I'd made my choice. I'd attend the wedding, not to fight, but to support my daughter. I went to the same jewelry store where I once bought Margaret's ring, and chose an extravagant wedding gift, a vintage Cartier diamond necklace. It was wrapped in silk, accompanied by a card that read, "For my daughter on your wedding day. All my love, Dad." At the Fairmont, San Francisco, when I arrived, the hotel was abuzz with celebration. I saw familiar faces, Eva's college friends, my brother, old neighbors. Then I saw it. A giant easel displayed my face at the entrance, printed in high resolution black and white. Below it, elegant cursive read, "Entry denied, Giles Rice by request of the bride and groom." The necklace slipped from my numb fingers. Guests slowed, staring awkwardly at the sign. Some glanced at me with sympathy, others with confusion. "Excuse me, sir," a guard said gently. His name tag read Martinez. "You're not allowed in." "I'm the bride's father," I whispered. "I understand, sir, but I have clear instructions." I looked through the glass doors at the celebration I was now barred from. My $50,000 had paid for this extravagance, the florals, the crystal, the music. I gently placed the necklace box beside my own photo. "Now I understand, Harold." I straightened my suit and asked Martinez to call a cab. "I need to get to Chase Bank before they close." At the bank, I arrived at Chase at 4:30 p.m. "I need to cancel a check," I told the banker. She typed my information swiftly. Check number and amount: 2,847, 50,000, made out to Harold Kensington. She hesitated. "If the check's already been submitted, this may cause problems. That's what I want." She understood. Betrayed clients came in often. She handed me the cancellation forms. I signed each one deliberately. When it was done, she said, "The stop payment is active." I folded the confirmation, placed it in my wallet beside a photo of Eva on her graduation day, and left Chase Bank with a calm I hadn't felt in months. Evening in Manhattan, back at my hotel in New York. I watched the lights of the city while imagining the unraveling across the country. Guests dining, musicians playing, until they weren't, until the payment terminals failed, the credit cards declined, and the staff began packing up. Harold, now caught in the financial noose he'd tied for others. My phone buzzed, then again and again. By 9:43 p.m., I had 73 missed calls, mostly from Harold. Then came Eva's name on my screen. I finally picked up. "Dad," she whispered. "He confessed. You were right." Her voice cracked. In the background, I heard Harold's desperate explanations. I spoke calmly. "I'll fly back, but I'm done writing checks. I understand, just please, come back." I booked the next flight. 3 months later, summer in Brooklyn. The sound of suitcase wheels on my stairs made me pause. I looked through the peephole. It was Eva, gaunt, tired, older than before, but this time truly herself. She threw her arms around me. "I'm so sorry. You were right about everything." I guided her to the couch where this whole nightmare had started. "He took everything," she said. "My savings, my home, even Grandma's jewelry. After the wedding collapsed, he forged my signature, drained every account he could." The TV was on. I looked up. Harold's mugshot filled the screen. The anchor's voice was flat. "Romance scammer Harold Kensington has been arrested on federal fraud charges. Over $2 million stolen from victims across multiple states." Eva whispered they called me. I wasn't the only one, was I? "No," I said, "but you'll be the last." She leaned into me. "What now?" I looked at my daughter, the real Eva, and smiled. "Now we rebuild." Margaret's photo looked down from the mantel, her quiet strength still with us. Sometimes love means standing firm, even when the one you're trying to protect can't see it. The truth always surfaces. And when it does, it brings justice with it. End of story. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. For more powerful stories, click the next video.